Hello, televiewers. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning news. Thank you for joining us on the first edition for Prime Flash this morning. And we are broadcasting live from My Media Prime Television here in Douala. I am Dolly Ngonde for presentation. Let's begin updating you with the March 31st Moliwe road accident. As a family, after losing a child to the ghastly motor accident, is also calling on the help of the government, well-wishers and other sympathizers to come to their aid, as another member of the family is in critical condition, lying in the hospital there in Limbe. Jato Derek took interest in following up this case as he came back reporting thus.
The picture of the second night at the home of a family that lost an 8-year-old boy in the Moliwe road accident.
The moment now, I was shooting a woman inside. He got injured. My people died. The whole house there today is hungry.
My son Tiko Dilan is in the mortuary, and his mother, my wife, is in the hospital with a broken arm, bruises on her leg and on her face. Daga Tando, the father of the house, told My Media Prime Television. He came in with us. We met Mr. Daga in the neighborhood of my four here in Limbe. He went to loan for money for the treatment of his wife, but did not succeed. The immediate elder brother of Tiko Diland and the immediate younger brother of Tiko Diland have not eaten from when the incident occurred. Their brother died in an accident. Their mother, who could have been cooking for them, hospitalized, and their two elder sisters are taking care of mom in the hospital. You could not believe it. While their father is restless, looking for help. The family of Mr. Daga is now being haunted by bad memories. The loss is too much. Daga Tando brought a small pack of biscuits for his two sons to share for the night before coming to us to tell us what happened. Tigo Dilan and his mother were on board the bus going to the farm before the unfortunate incident. Barely surviving, the hospital is now demanding 250,000 francs CFA for the treatment of Daga's wife, and such an amount I don't have, he says, and even the burial expenses of my child, I don't know how to go about it, he added.
No papa, no brother, no sister. So for now, once even help, if you come for NGO or for government,
Daga Tando is now begging for assistance from people of goodwill. Tigo Dilan was a class 4 pupil of Cameroon Baptist Convention, CBC Primary School, Bonadi Kombo My 4, here in Limbe.
Quite a sad story there, and we stay in Limbe to talk about the funeral ceremony of the Chief Executive Officer of the Eden Media Group, who was also laid to rest. We hear in the report coming of that colleagues, friends, and well-wishers also turned out massively to pay their last respect to the fallen hero, as Naivona comes in telling us more about the ceremony as well as detailing his success stories.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Eden Media Group, Chief Zache Nsongandembu, has been laid to rest in his hometown in Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon. His funeral ceremony took place this Saturday, April 1, 2023, and was attended by family, staff of Eden Media Group, media personalities and associations, traditional authorities, friends, and well-wishers. Chief Zache was an inspirational figure figure in the media landscape and is remembered to have trained several media practitioners in Cameroon who are currently excelling in the print, audiovisual and online media as well as the corporate world, especially in the Anglophone media landscape. The media guru succumbed to the cold hands of death on the 6th day of February 2023 after an unsuccessful operation in India. His mortal remains, which has been at the mortuary since February 2023, has on April 1, 2023 been laid to rest at his hometown. May his soul rest in peace.
So right for now, may his soul continue to rest in peace. Now let's take you over to Garua, where the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam, has extended words of comfort to the family of the late Garua City Mayor, Dr. Usmaila Mohamadu, who died last week. The minister paid a courtesy visit to the house of the deceased while reiterating government's efforts and commitment in assisting the family in this moment of grief. And I'll urge you to take and listen to an excerpt of the minister actually making these declarations himself.
It is good for us to come and mourn with those who have lost dearest parent. The mayor of Garwa intended to do a lot of things, and he was already doing a lot of things. And we were planning to come here in Garwa in the end of the month of April with all the mayors of the cities to hold a meeting that would have shown to the other mayors what a mayor can do with their own resources. We've not cancelled the event. Children that are still very young will receive our assistance, and the wife will still continue to have our love.
Prime Flash, and we are broadcasting live from My Media Prime Television here in our headquarters in Douala. Now on to something of religious content. Some Christians across the world have celebrated the Palm Sunday. According to this calendar on the Christian calendar, or this day on the Christian calendar, it is aimed at celebrating Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem, which also ushers the beginning of the Holy Week, which starts today, and we'll see the death of Jesus Christ come Good Friday on Friday coming up. But then Eileen Summer stopped at the Roman Catholic Church here in Bunamusari to see how the day was celebrated and came back with the following report.
The Feast of Palm Sunday is a very important feast to all Christians in Cameroon and across the world, as it reminds them of the beginning of the end of Jesus' life on earth.
Today is Passion Sunday. It is actually opening us to the final preparatory stage for Easter, Christ's resurrection. And this Passion Sunday prefigures Christ's triumph over death. The people who praises him today will be the same people who condemn him tomorrow, but they will not have any power over this Christ who is our Lord. This resurrection will be that final say in the face of a human tragedy. So today is very special in the sense that we enact the beginning today the passion of our Lord Jesus.
Reverend Father Colin Same, who officiated the Passion Sunday Mass at Catholic Church Bunamusari Douala, highlighted that
this Passion Sunday, this Palm Sunday, reminds us now to be in solidarity with people, with persons, because people have had enough of suffering, of difficulties, and so to unite themselves with Jesus Christ. And we also be in solidarity with these people. We think of those who are in the northwest province of Cameroon, the southwest province of Cameroon. We think of many men and women around the globe who are under the scourge of pain, famine, hunger, and starvation. So when we think of all people in our prayers, we actually are in solidarity with them, and we're called also to support these people, whatever financial support we may have to give them, or material support.
he added that Palm Sunday is a feast to give glory to God,
which is for us today actually a feast of glorifying God, a feast of acknowledging Jesus, as Paul said in the second reading for our liturgy today, that Christ is Lord and all knee bow upon him, and he is that Lord, not only that Lord, but the servant that suffers for you and for me and all the persons watching this program today. God died for you. We give our life to him, we serve him, and we are assured of salvation.
The feast, which is marked by a symbolic mass and church service, gathered Christians who will in few days accompany Jesus in his passion on Good Thursday, death on Good Friday, and eventual resurrection on Easter Sunday.
Thank you, Eileen Samar. And on to something else, dear viewers. Some 7 non-commissioned officers and 37 soldiers of the rank and file have received epaulets, raising them to higher ranks at the air base of the Kutaba Airborne Battalion. Meantime, the commander of the Kutaba Airborne Battalion, Colonel Serge Song, has chaired the event in the presence of administrative authorities as well as some other top-ranking military officers. And now let's talk something of feature, of course, orientation, where it's been observed that in recent times there has been several misconceptions on some ideological concepts in society, and one of them is when it comes to do with women's empowerment. Now, in creating an unbiased society for both men and women, the Conscious Reawakening entity, Gateway Africa, has held a summit in which mindsets have been reconstructed. Let's get details more about this story in this report coming up. Deconstructing misconceptions on women's empowerment. Men and women reconstruct a fresh, unbiased narrative for Africa is a theme under which this agenda for the Gender Summit has been held here in Douala.
Adding value in terms of capacity of the woman.
For the first time coming to the country's economic capital, Timia Tandi is the brain behind Gateway Africa, and here is the raison d'être for organizing this summit.
My objective is to send out a new form of information which I believe is valuable for transformation, first of mindsets in Cameroon and across Africa. Reason being that the subject of women's empowerment, I believe, has been highly miscommunicated, misrepresented, and is being misunderstood. So through this program or event, we hope that we can communicate another approach to women's empowerment, having the men on board, but also giving the men an opportunity to know that they are doing so well, to know that we appreciate what they are doing, and what are the possibilities for us to collaborate to ensure that we attain better objectives as a nation and as a people.
The summit, which has seen the presence of both pressmen and women, amongst other persons from diverse walks of life, has been characterized with panel discussions as well as a question and answer session, while having great minds like Aya W. Abine dwelling on the need to deconstruct misconceptions while reconstructing mindset stars.
Talking about building an unbiased perspective, talking about reconstructing the narrative people have about women empowerment is necessary. Why? Because a man who can empower, because generally the man is supposed to be the leader. You can't have two leaders in the same ship. But the leader in the ship who can empower is only a leader who has been empowered. And so that's why it's important for it to be an unbiased perspective, an unbiased narrative, because it's from there that you can have equal contribution from the different parties, that's the women and the men. And so it's important, therefore, for us to deconstruct the misconception that women empowerment is a competition against men. It's supposed to be collaboration between the both of them. But now, women empowerment is just for them to become better helpers. Remember, the woman is the helper. And therefore, you need a helper who has the highest quality of value to add to what the man has as a leader. And so the true helper comes to join with the true leader, and then both of them collaborate to add sustainable value to the society.
And after hours of schooling, these participants at the end of the summit can be said to have acquired skills and knowledge for further training. Welcome back, and before we take leave of you, dear viewers, let's talk this health-related story where the month of April has been set aside to create awareness about sexual assault by means of educating people as well as making them know all its forms, and also creating conversations where victims can also openly speak out when they are victimized. This year in Cameroon, the campaign focuses on government's reinforced levies, giving the high prevalence rate of sexual assault in the society. Bukengo Wadi comes reporting after this.
More than 85% of women and girls aged 15 to 35 years old have experienced a kind of form of sexual assault in the country, including rape, sexual exploitation, intimate partner violence, early marriage, and more, with very few willing to talk about it for many a different reason.
People don't want to talk about rape because it is something that brings shame. It is something that makes people so embarrassed. It is something that makes you so vulnerable, so filthy, so dirty, so less than a war.
According to sexual reproductive health specialists, sexual assault accounts for infertility, mental health problems, and other health complications.
Some of them, they even go into mental crisis. You find some of them going into psychosis, schizophrenia, paranoid levels, and the rest. Also, there could be cases of even infertility. The person raping you might be loaded with all sorts of sexually transmitted diseases, and that will surely be transmitted on to the victim. You have infections like chlamydia, you have infections like syphilis, you have infections like HIV, and even hepatitis.
With the issue being very high in the English-speaking and far north war zone regions of the country, the United Nations says the effect for sexual assault does not only affect the victims.
The girls themselves are treated as subjects of suspicion. You know, they've brought what's called bad blood back into the community. It's a big mountain to climb sometimes to get the girls accepted, and their children too. Babies of Boko Haram are considered as really something to keep and ostracized.
It is important to note that discrimination, stigma, fear of judgment, social deprivation, and more are some reasons why victims don't speak out and prefer to suffer in silence. Following this year's theme for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, with states drawing connections, prevention demands equity, it is important for each and all to give a listening ear, show love, support and show the victims together with the government, helping in providing facilities for victims to report their cases, as well as following up on levy against perpetrators in a bid to help victims gain confidence, achieve social inclusion after rape, as well as reduce the prevalence of assault in the country.
Thank you there, Wadi, for that health report. And that concludes today's edition of Prime Flash. Dear viewers, thank you too for according us your time and always trusting My Media Prime Television for the best of content. I have been Dolly Ngonde for presentation, and this newscast was produced by Elvis, Modika. Don't go nowhere, as the brief comes up next with Lasha Kingsley and Kanten Etape. But for now, goodbye and have a blessed day.
Welcome to a new world of